What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Tom Dark channel. I'm your host, Skibbity, and today's topic is increasingly stinky feet smelling up the whole goddamn place.
Generations have been ruined because of racism,
terrible.
and lives are still getting destroyed by it.
Dude, what the f is going on here? He literally puts his feet on the table. This goes to a point where it becomes like some kind of a weird fetishized thing.
Should be discrediting these benefits with all this virtue signaling bullshit.
Oh, why are we crinkling the feet? This is so gross.
Seriously, some group was leeching off of our own hard work. Our achievements can—
Why are his feet getting stinkier and sweatier as time goes on? What's happening here?
Now, Twitter is the #1 place for geniuses to congregate. Never could we ever have imagined that one website would be home to the bravest, quickest, and most innovative minds in all of mankind. And they all gather in one place to congregate and share their genius, and we, as plebeians, can afford the small fee of our sanity in order to read these tweets? I mean, my god. And today's story takes place on Twitter involving accusations of transphobia, which I feel is a claim I see a lot on Twitter, and a lot of the time it's also unwarranted, because the geniuses over at Twitter see the world for what it truly is, okay? The made-up story inside their head, that is actually what happened. But to truly understand the story today, we're going to have to go through some context. Lilith, also known as Botser, is an artist and indie developer. Her most popular release is probably Bloodborne PSX, a demake or a remake that converts the game to an older platform or aesthetic that reimagines the title for the PlayStation 1. It's pretty cool. Not gonna lie, I'm not really a Dark Souls guy, but I like the way it looks. The effort was so impressive that it received coverage from outlets like Kotaku and IGN. After this, Lilith became somewhat of an internet personality in her own right. Her YouTube channel amassed over 100,000 subscribers, with several videos on their way to reach 1 million. This isn't even her main platform either, with her Twitter currently sitting at over 120,000 followers. This is all to say that her tweets get seen by a lot of people. Well, things became an issue once they left her target audience. As you can probably tell, Lilith takes heavy inspiration from retro 3D games. It's a huge draw to her work in contrast to the industry standard. The sentiment was reflected in a tweet she made on August 1st, 2023. That day, Lilith shared an image of her fursona, bruh. Bro, we're in dark territory already, you guys can tell. She posted an image of her Sona posed to mimic a Sonic the Hedgehog meme. It reads, "I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less," and I'm not kidding. The caption continues, "When I say worse graphics, I mean worse graphics. I want the final models to not be accurate to the concept art. I want the rig weighing to be slightly off. I want the cape to clip through the legs. I want the artist to be able to go home so they can bang their wife," and I'm not kidding. Now, this post was pretty lighthearted, and people found it kind of funny, so it garnered over 30,000 likes. And of course, it was only a matter of time before it faced some backlash. That isn't to say there wasn't any legitimate criticism. Many disagreed with the original message or found the meme performative and ineffective. Then there were several posts telling them to play like Garten of Ban. I don't even know what that game is, but it sounds bad. But others felt it was just cringe to recreate a meme with your original character. Insert 1,000 Turkey Tom memes right now, by the way. Arms crossed, am I right, guys? Losers creeps and Discord DMs. The insults quickly became personal as people started making fun of her taste. "I want worse graphics that are actually bad and not retro low poly like this person wants. Graphics where it's genuinely putrid to look at. Actual dog shit visuals. Nothing comprehensible or appealing. Some real Cruelty Squad type shit, but worse. It's really incredible to look at this person's YouTube account, and the early videos are perfectly normal modeling stuff, and then it seems like Bloodborne gave them a bizarre psychosis, and they just made their whole personality annoying trans Tumblr witch." Now, this latter one received over 13,000 likes, with the controversy escalating beyond what could reasonably be ignored. Lilith later claimed it reached the point of life ruination, being threatened and even doxxed. Which, if that's real, that is completely ridiculous, and Lilith absolutely did not deserve that, okay? Once again, things apparently got this out of hand over a fucking Sonic meme. Only on Twitter, truly. The mob was clearly going too far, and understandably, her supporters made an effort to stand up for her. I saw someone quote retweet this with a grotesque drawing of this character being hung, so I don't really want to hear any of you guys argue with me that the dog pile this person got for posting a really old meme and replacing Sonic with her online Sona was even remotely justified. They rightfully point out the meme had existed for years and no one cared until her post. But the point behind this was to accuse all of the critics of being transphobic. She didn't say anything wrong, by the way. People repost that Sonic version version of this meme all the time, but when a trans girl makes her own version with her character, of course y'all get on her ass and wildly misinterpret her tweet because God forbid a trans woman says anything. Now, to be honest, there definitely seems to be a bit of a dog pile, so this person's post is somewhat understandable, but there is kind of a baseless assertion here that basically anyone who does not like this meme, right, is also transphobic. And that leads into what I want to talk about today. On October 18th, a random guy named Unfunny decided to tweet about the original Sonic meme. He says, "I hope someday people realize the reason we make fun of this image is the wording and presentation of it, not the message itself." Now keep in mind, on this picture, there's no Lilith. This is the meme before Lilith got to it, which means that it's just Sonic saying this. And this guy is saying, like, we don't like the presentation of it, you know, whatever that may mean. And when I say this is just some guy, I do mean it. Not to try to, like, big league him or whatever, but he has 4,000 followers, which is nothing in the grand scheme of things, especially compared to Lilith, who has over 100,000. In spite of the fact that he used the original image and doesn't even mention her at all, Lilith saw it apparently and took it very personally. In the replies, she accused him of rewriting history before bringing up the harassment. "Don't you dare try to rewrite what happened. I was doxxed over this. There were bomb threats that people took credit for and bragged about. Fetish art was drawn on my OC in an attempt to smear me, and animations were made of me being lynched. Now you have the audacity to act like y'all were just poking fun at it because of the wording? Don't you dare." So clearly, from Lilith's perspective, this guy is included in, you know, the doxers and swatters and whatever else, right? Now that would spark another account to put him on blast, this time as a separate post, where they kind of repeated, "Do enjoyer," Queen Elizabeth says, "Don't you dare rewrite history. Literally everyone agreed with this image until a trans artist put their own spin on it, and were subsequently harassed and doxed relentlessly. We're not doing this revisionist history BS. The way she was treated was actually evil." Now this call out was liked over 20,000 times alongside another post, which itself received 38,000 likes. Not only did they flood the original post with hate, but one even suggested that they basically get revenge on this person by saying, "A tiny part of me want to find everything about this dude and just dox him for straight up denying it, but that would make me no better and it won't solve anything." Thankfully, this was a very small minority, but it was all a bit quick given, you know, there was no evidence the post was even about Lilith. So while not everyone's calling for this guy to be doxed, everyone is basically calling this guy like a transphobe, and I don't think that's true. The OP even attempted to clarify this several times, only to be ignored. "I wasn't even mentioning your version of the image, even if you popularized it. I'm sorry those things happened, but I was just talking about the people who were using it before you did. The fact you haven't responded to Lilith is telling. She roasted you. I literally did, you just chose to ignore it." Pretty much everyone agreed with this message as it is until a trans girl posted a version of it, which made people suddenly hate it. Which sure, say it's the wording. Blaming it on transphobia is pretty weird when it has nothing to do with that, to be honest. No matter what he said, they were adamant the image never received backlash until her edit, or that like nobody even could conceivably disagree with it. Somehow, everyone in the world agreed with this picture, okay? And then when a trans person posted it, every single person in the world disagreed, despite the fact you're on Twitter, which in my experience is relatively like trans positive, trans inclusive. There is the whole like valid L's side of things, which is pretty wild, okay? But that is still like a subset. There are a lot of trans people on Twitter. There's a lot of trans positive people on Twitter. Are there some people that did not like the post just because a trans person said it? Yeah. Is that everyone? No, of course not. And to believe otherwise is delusion. Now, the original meme in question has existed since 2020, with the phrase first written by user Jordan Mallory. It went viral, resulting in the creation of the Sonic version that November. This post has over 40,000 likes, but somehow it spread further. For the next 3 years, it did circulate across message boards and social media to discuss the video game industry. That discussion, contrary to this new narrative, was not always positive. There are literally hundreds of examples, but I'm going to point out 3 in particular. The first dates as far back as August of 2021, before the meme was even a year old. People love to focus on the shorter games with worse graphics part of that, while ignoring made by people who are paid more to work less. And then we have this other reply from Vincent that says, "My issue with the quote is more that it defangs itself by implicitly directing this demand toward commercial, usually blockbuster publishers." The next example is dated November 2022 and was actually in reply to Lilith herself. I've been thinking about that quote and I don't think I've actually come to disagree with it as a dichotomy, because you can have short, bad-looking games that people are crunched mercilessly over, and theoretically you can have massive hi-fi games that developed at a healthy pace. Yeah, it's kind of bad messaging to imply the games would be consistently worse or less refined if the game industry wasn't terrible. Finally, this tweet from December that was seen over 16,000 people, and this is the last example we're going to look at. Image that solely exists to be posted after a crunchy controversy comes out, so everybody knows where you stand before going back to a AAA game. And if you're not convinced, just read through the replies. You can clearly see that there was discussion of this meme in a negative context before, you know, Lilith was even involved. This image is a hell of a bait post. This is one of those things no one actually truly wants. Everyone then turns around and complains when a game is too short or has ugly visuals. I think it'd be a lot less dismissive of people who post this image if more of them admitted it's because they're supporting their amateur game dev friends. Okay, that one's just totally true. Shorter games, worse graphics? Shut up. I think their mistake is that they forgot this meme has been around for years. That's in eternity for most of the dumb shit that gets popular online. It's not really that surprising people grew sick of it over time. It's gotten old. Even those in support of its argument have taken issue with the phrasing. None of this was particularly hard to track down either. Like, I'm not some super genius, okay? Those people are on Twitter. I'm over here on YouTube, which I would argue everyone on YouTube is missing a chromosome, but it was super easy to find this. The examples took at most a few minutes to find. So to put it bluntly, the idea this was all the fault of transphobia is insane. They have continued to leave the posts up even after being shown indisputable proof that they were wrong. Like Queen Elizabeth over here, do enjoy her, who made one of the aforementioned callouts in question. Okay, I get it. A lot of people didn't like the image even beforehand, but that doesn't excuse people using it as an excuse to be transphobic. I mean, yeah, it doesn't, but there's literally no reason to believe that this tweet that you quote tweeted is transphobic. I mean, you're sending this guy a ton of shit here. It's truly shocking how easily Lilith has been framed as the victim here, when let's really look at the full picture of what happened. Lilith saw a random person complaining about the original meme, assumed it was about herself, then accused him of transphobia. Now that claim has been shown to millions of people, with even some threatening to dox this guy. By attempting to preemptively call out harassment, they have effectively harassed some poor dude for literally no reason. Instead of apologizing or even acknowledging the mistake, they doubled down even when it makes no sense. And there was a time when Lilith actually worried about accidentally causing a harassment campaign. And in this case, they accidentally did, so the very least they could do is like delete their replies and issue a retraction. But personally, I wouldn't really hold my breath for that. Once again, people on Twitter know the best thing to do. They know the most genius, big brain thing to do. They have extra chromosomes, which actually makes them super intelligent. I'm lacking those chromosomes. You know, they got them fair and square. Survival of the fittest, know what I'm saying? So realistically, they know what's best to do. They know the best path forward. Ultimately, if everything Lilith said about being harassed back when this meme actually blew up is true, then obviously I feel bad for them, and everybody else should, right? Even if you don't like trans people, I don't think you should advocate for them being like doxxed and swatted and having bomb threats, right? But this whole thing where they now go after some random guy with a 30th of their following because he posted a meme which existed before them, it's kind of insane, bro. I don't know if Lilith's mind is so traumatized that she can't see reality for what it truly is, and it's just like imagining transphobia in this case in their brain is a way to be a victim. I don't really know. But yeah, this guy like did not do anything wrong. Hopefully Lilith goes back to making games or whatever. It sucks to be a genuine victim, but a lot of the people on Twitter go out of their way to find ways to make themselves a victim. And in this specific case, that is what happened. The only victim is Unfunny Meat on Twitter, who's goated with the sauce. I don't actually know anything about this guy, so maybe he's effed up in some other regard, but listen, I'm not hardcore vouching. I'm just saying Unfunny Meat, goated with the sauce. And speaking of victims, now I'm a victim, and so are all of you watching, because we had to watch this stupid shit happen for 10 and a half your mom minutes. 10 and a half your mom minutes and counting. Thanks for watching. I've been Tom Dark, and until next time, follow me on the gram, Tom But Dark. Shout outs. Ow. And if you liked this video, consider becoming a member. For $5 a month, you get access to exclusive podcasts, unreleased videos, and the members-only Minecraft server. Thanks so much to all of my YouTube members who fund my content.